Well, it is that time again, everybody. Hope you are doing well. My name is Bird Dog John, and I am back in action.
In those scenarios,
Yep.
It's good to neuralize the cameras. You guys know that best.
Very straightforward. Plug it in, go to the web UI, link the source, walk away. Like super simple. I keep looking over at the chat and I keep seeing you are full of it. Tasty, spicy meat snacks. Covered in flavor. I mean, you can't go wrong. So what's going on? We've got a handful of folks here in the chat, and I really appreciate that. What's up, mate? Hey, Warren, how are you? Appreciate it. Hey, Robbie, how's it going, man? We were just talking about you. What's going on, Tom? Ahoy. How is it going? What's going on, Go Web? Good to see you again. Thanks for hanging out with us again today. Appreciate that. Feel like I'm in this video more than anyone but John. It's true, NetApp. You are, I'm going to cut this up and put this in the next intro. What's going on, everybody? Hopefully you're doing well. Thank you so much for coming along for the ride. My name is indeed Bird Dog John, back again on this beautiful Tuesday morning here in Auburn Hills. This is not a very good shot of that Auburn Road, but there it is. It's outside my office window. Not this studio window, but the office window. And yep, it's kind of nice out there, I guess. Not too bad for a Michigan July day. Yeah, good stuff, man. Wait a minute, what? And now the sun just came out, so check this out. Now it's a totally different day outside. Good stuff, everybody. So yeah, we have a beautiful Michigan day, and looking forward to it. I'm going to put up my little QR code. Feel free to jump in there. Let me know where you're hanging out today. What's going on, Jeremy? Good to see you. Thanks for stopping by. Hey, it's such a nice day in Michigan today. It definitely is. Are you still in Michigan? That would be crazy if you're still hanging around. Yeah, so it has been a busy start to the week, but it's been a regular work week, which is my last regular work week for like a month, because there's just a lot of moving parts. I'm going to be away for a part of next week. I'm going to be potentially flying to the West Coast for bird dog stuff the next week, and then I'll be in Northern Ontario the next week. So it's going to be it's going to be strange. And I don't know what I'm going to do about the stream, because basically today and Thursday are the last regular days that I would be here to do a live show. And so I'm tempted to line up some pre-recorded stuff and to show that, just to like reiterate things that I've already shown, but it wouldn't be a live show. It would just be a recording. So yeah, there's that. But I have to think through that a bit, mostly because I was planning on being around. So I was going to cancel next week's shows and then be around the following week. And then something came up, and it's still not 100% sure if it's happening. I don't know. But yeah, we definitely need to sort out, I guess, what the next little while looks like. I'm having a hard time just like thinking about tomorrow. There's just so much stuff to do today. So yeah, crazy times. I will also jump over to, let's go ahead and throw that little heat map up on the screen and see where you guys are hanging out. So it looks definitely like, oh yeah, Angus is there hanging out in Edmonton, and then Jeremy is still in Michigan. So that's good to know. Glad to hear it, man. What's going on, Bird Dog Phil? Hopefully you're doing well. Thanks for stopping by today. Appreciate it. It's good to hear from you every now and then. Make sure that you're still kicking over there. M Tash, what's going on? Morning, John. Morning, Phil. Morning, all from LA. That's stinking cool. Very neat. So yeah, that little QR code at the top of the screen right here is just a little Google form. What country, what city are you closest to? And it'll put you on the heat map. And as the show goes along, we can check in on that and see where you guys are hanging out from. So I really like that feature. I think that's really cool. Here's something. Here's a side trip before we go down today's avenue of just like finding information and fun stuff to talk about. I'm still alive at the moment. That's good, man. I'm pleased to hear that. Okay, so hey, what is that map? Michigan gets lumped into the rest of the country. Yeah, I know. And there's actually a way. To show just the U.S., but we have a lot more people that watch the show than just in the U.S. Now, if you get to join us live, then you get to actually participate in the heat map stuff. But if you are watching this post show, then hey, here's my hope and prayer that you'll show up for the actual show and participate. Either way, it's good stuff. And yeah, I leave that up there the whole time. I love this little thing. I think it's so cool that you can see in real time, where everyone's showing up from. So really handy to have during a live show, that's for sure. Okay, so I figured out, I don't know, I guess I didn't really figure out, but I kind of like actualized in my brain and mapped it out how to do things like the lower third stuff. And so now we can definitely put up little logos and whatever. And I was trying to figure it out because of like I do a little side work where I'm like helping some congregations just like with their workflows and whatever. And I was thinking, man, it would be really handy to have some sort of like information thing where I don't have to rely on StreamYard. StreamYard does an okay job with it, by the way. So the banners over like this guy is just basically a banner, and that's helpful, right? Because at least it tells you where to go. And you can do these like scrolling ones as well, and that's super nice that they make those available. But the actual graphics out of vMix are also kind of handy, and so yeah, we can definitely generate those as a part of the show, and I think that's pretty cool. So it's a little redundant to have a picture of me while showing this, and also the green is the bird dog green, but it's the wrong green because the behind me is not that color. So, and it's all whatever sorted out. So I figured out a way to fire these or like get these going, and then I was working on like automations of those things. And so if I were to throw this up here, and I'll just show you kind of what it is that I was up to. So if I cut to this, so this is that actual input, once you make it, and you bring it in as an input. And what I was doing was I was just setting up triggers. So on completion, then I would say overlay. Whoops. No, on completion, we're going to type in overlay. And I want to say overlay input out. All right. And that's the function. And so then I want to leave it up there for a little bit of time, and I'm going to add that. Now I think that this is wrong actually, because it says preview, and I don't think that that's right. I want to be sure to select the actual overlay. So that's title 1. I want to overlay. I don't know if this is a glitch or if this matters at all, but when you do it this way and you add it, look, the input then shows the actual green element, right? That's weird to me. But anyways, so I'm going to close that down. And now let's cut over to this desktop again, and let's fire that second slide. So that's this one. And with any hope, whenever you trigger this this graphic, it should stay up for an allotted period of time and then put itself away for me. So I think I had this enabled on this one. Overlay when, the trigger is overlay in, then input out. And then apparently the input doesn't matter. So let's try that again, because I had this one sorted. So we can click on this and just say overlay in, which is the trigger, right? So edit this. Okay, close that down. All right, so now you can fire this lower thirds. And I got like all nerdy about this because you can totally do this on the fly. Like you can edit these completely on the fly to say whatever it is that you want. Boom. And then it moves off the screen on its own. So the question is, how long is too long, right? So is 10 seconds too much? Or is that an appropriate amount of time? But what I like about it is now I could map those, which I'm going to do here on the show. I can map those to my X keys and make those overlays 1 through 4, because those are those channels. And then I can just trigger them with a button, and it will run the sequence and do it by themselves. Now I only have 2 of them. I've only got that overlay 1, which is this guy right here. So this is the first one, overlay 1. And then the other one that you saw is overlay 2. So let's do that. Well, let me jump in the chat real quick, because you guys are chatting in here. So vMix is amazing for lower thirds. Add data sources, and they're even better. Oh, that's cool. That's a good idea. Hey, that's pretty neat. Wait, 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 wait.
How neat is that? That's pretty neat.
You can tell it's a bird dog by the way that it is. Oh, I love that you're referencing this for me. You're speaking to my soul, Jeremy. Well done. Hey, good morning from Fred Hutch, Seattle, Washington. Nice 61 degrees, sunny 61 degrees at the moment. Dude, I visited Seattle a couple of times on my way up to Alaska because I was cruising actually a year ago this week. So this is Tuesday, which means I think we were in Ketchikan today. Anyway, whatever. A year ago, and when we were in Seattle, it was surprisingly not sweaty for the middle of July, which is what they say about the West Coast, but the upper West Coast for sure. And it was great. It was beautiful weather, and took the kids there and had a good little. It's funny because a year ago, the world was still um, hypersensitive, we'll say. And so I remember so I have four people in my family, myself, my wife, and my son and my daughter. My daughter is older, she's 9, and my son is 5. Well, last year, of course, take a year off. So everyone qualified pre-boarding except for my son, who was too little to have at the time a vaccination and all that sort of stuff. And so they were doing tests up until his arrival to the ship and then to get on. And I remember there was like a medical tent, and I remember in Seattle at the pier and thinking, man, it all comes down to us sitting in this tent and my son having a negative test in order for us to go on this like massive family vacation that we had planned and everything. So, and it did. It went off just fine. None of us got sick or anything, and it was great. We had a great time in Seattle and further on to Alaska. And if you're ever wondering, should I take an Alaskan cruise or go and visit Alaska, ask yourself, do you enjoy things that are created in nature? Do you enjoy like wildlife? Do you enjoy things like exploring mostly untouched land? It's pretty cool. And then if you're wondering about a cruise, do you want someone else to do all the planning for you? Because that's basically what it is. So that's what I love about it. It's pay one price, pay an expensive price, but pay one price and not have to worry about food or accommodations or about any of those details. Just hand it all over and and the money, I mean, and then they'll sort it out all for you. So beautiful arrangement, and I highly recommend it. It's good. I'm not a particular like fan of the massive ships, Oasis of the Seas and all those cruise ships, but I am a fan of kind of the mid-sized ships because it's a smaller group of people, usually still a couple thousand passengers, but you just don't feel like you're on top of each other, and you also don't feel like you're floating in like a city. It's a huge ship regardless, but it doesn't feel like you're just completely like you can walk for ages and never find the other side of the boat. So it was great. We had a good time. And a year ago today, this week, my family and I am reminiscing the most out of all because I really enjoy cruising, but I really liked Alaska, and I love taking my kids, and that was a lot of fun. So I like to leave lower thirds up long enough to slowly read through it twice. So I think 10 seconds is a reasonable amount of time for this function. I just don't want it to be annoying, like I don't want it to be up there and be like, oh, like chip, chap, chip. I'd rather have it move right along. But hey, John Mtesh here over on YouTube. Have you read up on central controls triggers that can be written into the teleprompter script to trigger playback of video or other stuff? No, but I know a guy who has. Jake showed us some of that stuff when we did the teleprompter thing. He was triggering things in central control to do teleprompter and all that sort of stuff. So I know that it works. He says it works great, and I have to trust him on that. I don't have a central control license, and I probably should get one because we're doing a lot of video recording these days, and I need to probably get on with that. So we will look into more of that and maybe getting a license or talking to Joe to Max and seeing what we can do about that. So it's between 8 and 10 seconds is what we found is good. Okay, so I'm pretty sure I have mine set to 10 seconds. Oh, and what I was going to do, now that I'm at the bottom of the chat, I was going to set this up to go along with my X keys. So we're going to go into settings in vMix. And in the settings window, yoink. In the settings window, we're going to go over to shortcuts and we're going to say add a note. And we're going to say find, and I'm going to press the button that I want to use for overlay 1. And function, I want this to be overlay in. And I want this to be set to, I guess I don't, do I need to set input? Oh, function over, oh, I need to set this as my overlay. So title 2 action green, say okay, and then say okay. All right, so now if I press that button, does it trigger that thing? No. It switched it to camera 2. Oh, because that was the camera in preview. Oh, that's interesting. It did trigger it, but it triggered it to camera 2 because that's what was in preview? No. Oh, I know why. Because this button is now doing 2 functions. Okay, so this is noob problems. Let's go back over here. We're going to cut this and we're going to open up settings again and we're going to find out. I don't know why is that set to show the 110? Which one is that? So this button that I just added is 116, which also happens to be where is MIDI note 1.16? All right, so where's the trigger for 110? Let's see what input. 400 overhead. This one, 116 right there. Remove. Are you sure you want to remove this? Yes. Okay, so now if I go over to, let's put camera 1 up here, and then if I hit overlay, boom, that seems to work just fine. So we're going to set this up one more time, and let's cut over to this. Oh, that's nice that the overlay stays. So that's triggers overlay 1. I'm going to put the settings back up here one more time, the shortcuts, and we're going to do the other one as well. And then all I got to remember is to print my little labels. Now, well, anyways, we'll get to that in a second. So here we're going to say find key, X key number 2, that's 1.17. Function, I want this to be overlay in. Oh, sorry, not overlay 1, overlay 2 in. I want it to be this source, right? Chia. And I want to say okay and okay. And so now if I put source number 1 up here and I say overlay 2, it's also labeled to a different camera. So let's fix that. Jeez, John. I probably should have known that I probably should have checked. Because we definitely could have assumed that I've programmed these keys to do other things. Okay, so this one, all of these keys for some reason are set to do this. So let's just remove all of those. Yoink. And now we say okay. And so now if I hit that button, hey, it's just that overlay. So that's cool. So interesting thing about these overlays is if you press overlay 2 and then you fire overlay 1, they go at the same time. You would think that they would wait, right? Because there's another, but maybe you want to do multiple overlays, I guess. I guess. But yeah, it's anyways, fun to have all of this like sorted out and actually working. Let me see if I can get this X keys over top of my P100 because that is the point in watching this. Wow, this camera is moving at a snail's pace. That is for sure. I'm not too sure what is happening here. Probably need to speed up the servos. Wowzers. So yeah, this P110 is like extremely slow. All right, I'm gonna fix that because that's annoyingly slow and it's not working great. So we're gonna jump over to the web UI for that P100. If you are ever wondering why the P100 is moving slow in Studio Monitor, it's probably because you have the speed settings set way too low. So pan and tilt is for some reason turned way down. And so now if I go back to, I guess I could show this to you. So if I cut over here to this guy and I steer this guy because my iPad is here and everything. Okay, so are we faster? Well, we certainly are faster. It's not lightning fast, that's for sure. So let's just, oh, because the tilt speed never changed. Let's turn it up to 11. Let's see how we go now. Yoink. Yeah, that's okay. It's not. What? It's not. It's maybe it didn't do it. Let's take a quick little look see. And yeah, now it says it's maxed out. So it really just doesn't like to turn around like this. Okay, so I'm going to show this little guy. Oh, my desk is a mess. Show my little X keys here, which is a great little device, by the way, if I had this all cleaned up and it looked pretty. And on the picture, we're going to turn off flip so that it's right side up. Okay, so this is what my X keys is up to. And I've got this all in this orientation now. So now when I hit these buttons, obviously, that's what is going to happen. And it's super convenient that I can call those without any sort of issue. So I just label those. I'll turn the probably blue lights on those two. I could work on getting additional, additional stuff going on, but it's really helpful. It's super helpful that that's everything is just right here. If I need to call a command, I don't have to go and look for it. I don't have to do anything. You just have some quick keys that, like, once you learn it, it's great. Okay, enough of that odd interlude. Hey, John from Johannesburg. I can't find the Bird Dog keyboard update on the Bird Dog website. Yes, because we took it down. So contact your friends over at help@birddog.tv and they can get you a copy that is appropriate for your keyboard, but is causing more harm than good. And we need to fix some things in it. So they took it down. Please contact us at the help desk, open up a ticket, and we'll get it sorted out for you. Well, would you look at that? You know all of the reference videos. I don't have that as a soundbite, which I definitely should, because that's a funny video. Anyway, okay, so today this is not a video I'm planning on recording and whatever, but I have been discussing with folks a lot about workflow, and one of the big pieces that you have to decide as a streamer, but as somebody who's producing anything, any broadcast, is how is the workflow going to work? Are you going to carry everything in the same channel like NDI does, where you have video and control and potentially audio and tally and everything? Or are you going to separate it all out? And so you have a modular design where if you want to upgrade one thing, you don't have to upgrade everything. You know what I mean? And there are philosophies about which is better and which works best, mostly because they, oh, that's strange. I just realized. Anyway, but quite frankly, the more I discuss this with people, the more I realize that it's really just a matter of preference, much like the rest of this whole industry, right? Because it's really up to you and how your brain is wired and how things flow from, start to finish. And so you're capturing video, you're capturing audio, you're going to be needing to communicate with those on stage or those that you're producing, or maybe you're doing your own show and you're producing things out of your own office, and you need to hit certain benchmarks. And so that's kind of where I was talking again with some people and stumbled upon. So I'm used. I'm used to the NDI methodology, right, where everything is on a single channel and it's basically up to your network to transport everything in time. And where you get into danger with NDI is not having enough bandwidth to handle what it is that you're trying to do. And in the full NDI realm, especially, mostly because if you max out your network, you're going to see drop frames and it's just not going to be a nice, clean video. Whereas there have been proven methodologies in other configurations where drop frames is pretty much the only symptom of a camera that's malfunctioning, where it can't necessarily be the hard line that comes back to the video switcher that's SDI driven, because that's how that works. But when you change everything over to an IP based workflow, now you can introduce failure points all along the chain, mostly because you're doing IP based processes that end up being, a little more processor heavy. And if you max out those processors, then that's going to be a problem for you. So we definitely advocate for, if you're going to get in seriously into the NDI IP game with HX or with full, that you strongly consider at least a 10 gigabit backbone. And that sounds like overkill, but it really isn't. Not when you start doing the things that NDI is great with. You start streaming things out to the cloud, you start bringing things across infrastructure, you start sending 4K signals, you start bringing across a Dante network, all this stuff that goes on. We definitely need to address these sorts of networks that are just underpowered, honestly. A side note, a bug just fell off the ceiling and landed on my desk. So we have to definitely, pick our poison. I had a friend who used to say, well, you're going to die of something, so pick your poison and go with it. And he was referring to dietary choices and what have you. But the philosophy is true in a lot of things in life. You can choose to do this or that, but probably not both. And so when you're thinking about workflow, how is it that you want to achieve the goal? Do you want to bring everything across kind of in a modular design where if this doesn't work for you, or you need to expand this functionality, or we want to go from 6 cameras to 15 cameras and we need to be able to swap out that piece of hardware to bring all that stuff in, is that the way you want to do it? Or do you want to build an infrastructure like an NDI infrastructure and have a halfway decent switch, but then we want to bring in another 10 cameras and we need to upgrade the backbone of the entire infrastructure and kind of probably reorg the actual data network a little bit, make sure that it's working as intended and all. You pick your poison. And what's really interesting about working in a support world is that you get the guys that come from the other side of the world and know the problems of the other side of the world. Okay, so they know the problems of an SDI infrastructure and how to do it and set it all out and lay it all out. And they come to the NDI design and assume that it's the same problems. And I didn't know this at first. I didn't realize it at first, but it dawned on me later that it's, guys have an extensive history in the broadcast realm. And we've heard the phrases over and over, I've done this for 30 years and, you're not going to tell me anything new and that sort of thing. And fair enough that you've done it for 30 years, but I know my retort to this is, well, you haven't done it any longer than I have, because NDI is only 6 years old, and that's pretty much how long I've been around in the bird dog realm. I've been here for 5 years at this point. So it's a different way of thinking. It's a different way of achieving the same goal. And if you are convinced that there's only one way to get the job done, then you're not going to understand the problems that we face in the NDI world if you're just approaching it with the SDI history. And to the SDI/hardline, copper installation level with BNC and SDI and all that, to its credit, it has had enough time to mature and figure out really what the pitfalls are and how to fix them. And the history is not there yet with the NDI world. Like we were pretty young. All of us, all the companies that are doing this are pretty new at actually doing it. And so there's a lot of things that are undiscovered and the things that we run into unannounced and that we don't predict, like all inventions. So you have this duality conversation going on in these two different methodologies. I know these big installation companies that refuse to do NDI because they're so comfortable with their suppliers and their chains and all of their um, expectations of execution that they have already in their realm that have been set up for 15, 20 years. And then I know people who are trying to do things in a more IP based to give them the flexibility that BNC can't do or SDI can't do. And instead, they are, venturing out into the NDI world. And many of them have been around since the inception. Many of them are Bird Dog studio owners, for example, those original NDI guys. So there are two camps. And one of the camps that I truly am not well versed in is the SDI world. I mean, the actual BNC, the hardware side of what's available out there and then what's the workflow that goes through it. And this is where I stumbled across today's topic of the ATEM 2 ME Constellation HD. Now, there are a bunch of different models, but essentially they're a video switcher. And what it looks like to me is, I think initially they were control surfaces. Again, from what I've seen, they're control surfaces, but then they have evolved into more hardware units that are manipulated with software, which is probably the correct way to go about it, because you can customize software and you can make it more accessible and more robust, but you can also then virtualize it. And so it gives you the opportunity to do productions from anywhere in the world as long as the rig is set up and running, which I really like. I like this idea, this concept of being able to remote in and assist or run a production remotely and not necessarily need to be, go to the destination every time, which is quite frankly one of the primary concepts of Bird Dog Cloud, right? It's bringing all these sources around the world to a centralized switching and cutting floor, and then somebody doing that function there in the cloud or locally or whatever. So Bird Dog Cloud is built on that idea, and that is essentially what I think production is going to. Now, NDI has created a way to bring those frames and that video across the internet, but also just across your local network very efficiently and with high quality, and all of the great things that get interconnected with it, like the metadata and the tally and the audio and all of that. But because I work in the NDI realm and I'm not necessarily knee deep in the hardline realm, that former practice, not former, it's a common practice. It's just not my wheelhouse. I have started to think about, okay, we have customers that use the SDI function of our cameras and then use the NDI function for control, which is fine. It gives you the ability to be super flexible with the NDI piece, but it doesn't allow you to necessarily capitalize on all of the great features that are included in a Bird Dog camera. Again, tally and so forth. So I've looked at things like vMix being hosted on like a Stream Dudes chassis, for example, that has a duo deck link, and you bring in your SDI signals into that, and then it integrates into the Stream Dudes platform. And then inside vMix, you can control cameras via NDI or VisC IP, or no, sorry, Sony VisC IP or Panasonic VisC IP. I can't remember. Yeah, and that was that seems to be a fairly usable workflow. And then it also allows you to remote in, so you could use a VPN, or you could use a remote desktop service or something like that to actually manage the production unit from wherever you are. Started playing around, thanks to Jake. Started playing around a lot more with like Chrome Remote Desktop, for example, and it is very responsive for what it is. I'm so surprised at the lightweight aspect of it, but how responsive it is, and that it works really well with both Windows and Mac computers, to the point where I have at my disposal, I think I have like 7 or 8 computers at any given time. And now 3 of those machines are in this office space that I have direct access to, and now I no longer have to walk around to log into all of them. It's just all centralized. And I'm not too sure why I didn't think of it sooner, other than perhaps I just never had time to sit down and think through exactly what that workflow looked like. But the vMix with the dual deck link with like the Sonnet box or something like that, that seems like a great idea for bringing in those like raw SDI signals, especially if you're integrating a bunch of different brands of stuff that are all outputting SDI. Then at least you can, bring that in and they'll all talk with the same switching. But I stumbled across that, this Constellation, and I think that it's a really interesting idea. And I'm trying to visualize what the let's just do here the 2ME Constellation. All right, now to Blackmagic's credit here, this is a really cool website that does pretty well from the marketing stance of explaining what everything is. But the real key to this is really the SDI stuff. Like, that's the driver. Let me pull this up here so you guys can see. The driver behind it is the SDI ability to integrate. And they go through audio and they do a whole bunch of stuff. But where I'm not 100% sure if this is practical, but where I think that this whole setup shines is in the control software. Now, I have used a version of this control software elsewhere at a different venue, and it was with a Blackmagic's, I don't know, it was one of their like actual control boards. But I think if you were to go like large scale, then controlling everything, and in particular with this particular unit, then driving it with software would really be the key. And the unit that I'm referring to is this middle unit right here. This is that. It's a 1U unit. It's got 20 inputs and then has 12 outputs and 2 multi-viewer screens. Now, you would need to, more than likely in this day and age, convert any of your outputs to HDMI, because there's not a lot of screens out there that are at affordable prices that would do straight SDI unless you're going into the like full-on AV realm. But like on the consumer level, if you were to add this to your installation, you would probably need to buy their little SDI to HDMI converter boxes, which are not crazy expensive, as I recall. I think I had one at one time. Not here. I had one in a previous life. So they're $60. They are SDI to HDMI. Oh, $70. Sorry. So wait, is that micro HD? Oh no, it's regular. Okay, so yeah, they're $70 for these like little converters. So depending on how many screens you were going to. Now, I also know that projectors have SDI, usually like have an option for SDI, some projectors, and some televisions have options. So if you're making this, if you're configuring all of this for your house of worship or for your lecture room, for your school or whatever, you may be able to find, resources that would connect directly to SDI, and then you could just run the cable directly from here to there. But here's the thing that grabs my attention about this product. The thing that grabs my attention about this is that it is a specific piece of hardware that is, you would hope, benchmarked to perform at the capabilities that it has. And so if we are looking at a unit that has 20 inputs and 12 outputs plus 2 multi-viewers, that it would be able to do all those functions simultaneously, which means that you could be sending individual feeds, outputs, to audience monitors, but a different feed going to your stream, like through Resi or something like that. And then you could be taking in 20 different cameras or 20 different sources, we should say. So you could convert, your from HDMI to SDI. You could convert that from ProPresenter or the Sonnet box with the dual deck link card, which would go directly SDI then into this, and really have a high quality picture. Now, I don't know about the audio side of things. I see that there are two audio inputs here on the right hand side. Oh, well, the back panel's on the left hand side, but two audio ins. I'm assuming it's channel 1, channel 2. I'm assuming the SDI channels will accept 16 channel audio from SDI. So potentially you could bring that across. I don't know. But yeah, it's an interesting idea. And when it comes to like robust workflow, right? When you're going from a fly on the wall production, so you know what I mean by that? Like when you're producing a show that's basically a couple of cameras that are not manned. So I mean, it's kind of this concept, this show, but I have multiple cameras that are jumping around, screen capture, and a bunch of things. So it's like it's kind of moving. It's not just a static, guy on the screen focused on the podium, and that's all it is, like a classroom. But that there's a few dynamic changes to the actual show. When you're going from that static shot of just guy at the podium to a production, to like we're building a production space, and we are tailoring this end result for online or streaming consumption, or for video consumption, or for media creation, or something like that. When you're going from that like first step to second step to third step, and you're going along that journey, how does this product, how does it work in your workflow? And there's some people here in the chat that are like helping me out here. So let's jump over there and see what they all say. Angus is chatting it up here. So what finally pushed me to buy my fiber was a couple of all SDI shows with ridiculous cable runs. We had to run 7 SDI cables up and over the heads of the audience, run 300 feet. We needed distribution amps on every channel, and the production company in charge didn't have great cables. So the next time we do it, we're hanging one tiny and rugged little fiber cable. Another venue had an in-house SDI route and patch panels, but the equipment is aging, and the cameras we ran through the wiring were starting to flicker. Oh, geez. Added DAs would have helped, but it just isn't worth risking anymore. So we switched shows in that venue to my fiber as well. AV integrators are like big pharma. They sell what pays them well, not always what's best fit for the organization. Ooh. Wow, Jeremy, that's very accurate. It's very accurate. Let's put it that way. I think that you're absolutely right in that assumption. This is that heat map, by the way. Hey, thanks everybody for checking in. Really appreciate that. I just want to put that up there because I see that some of you have filled out additional surveys. If you want to show your pin on this heat map, just scan that little QR code in the top of the screen while the show is live, and you'll be able to put in what country you're in, what city you're close to, and that pin will get dropped. So feel free to do that while we kind of go through these conversations. The Blackmagic switcher started out as a rack-mounted units with separate hardware controllers. You could always control them through the software. Yes. And I pulled up the software and I was like, you know what? This is kind of intuitive, other than the fact that I have to use a mouse and a keyboard. I don't know what I wanted. Truth be told, I don't know what I wanted, but I definitely wanted something other than that. Because that felt weird. And maybe I just was at when I used it, I need a haircut. When I used it, I was using a laptop, and so that may have been the lack of control surface. What I really should do is get like really nice keyboard, mouse, dual screens, like really do it nice. and make it accessible, probably in X keys, just to integrate shortcuts and whatever. But one of the places that I'm working with runs with Blackmagic stuff, and they're an SDI camp, and that's fine. But they're talking about like kind of elevating their production to the next level, and that's going to take, I think, a workflow overhaul. I think that's fair to say. So, yeah, more on that as things progress. One of the things I notice is that when I share my screen and you guys can see the little heat map, my picture is covered up whenever I show. Oh, cool. Yeah, whenever I show that heat map and then I share like a comment that one of you makes. So let's adjust that here in vMix real quick. I think that's good. And so now if we cut over there, hey, I'm up here in the corner now. So now that is over there. Yeah. So that little QR code's on the other side of the screen. Feel free to fill that out if you want to join the heat map action. Hopefully that looks okay. I think that looks okay. Is it disorienting to have me over in that corner now? It is a little bit, but the reason why I want that is because when I show Angus's insights, I don't want his face covered up. I want to read them out loud. So anyways, I used the software for Blackmagic. I found it okay, but I also found it very difficult to use on a laptop. So maybe that was my problem. Though I used one of the 1 ME units starting around 2012 for all matter of events. Adding the second ME really increased the functionality of the switcher. Ooh, tell me more about that. Constellation units are a huge improvement. In the earlier units, every signal had to be the exact same format and frame rate. So that would have been 1080i 5994, really? At least in my career. The ATEM constellations have built-in scan converters in every input, which is a very nice improvement. Hey, does the scan converter strip audio from the input sources? SDI is always a better transport cable than HDMI, anything beyond 25 feet or so. So I'd run SDI and a converter. It should pass embedded audio, Jeremy. Sweet. I use ROS, and a FrameSync strips all VANC, including embedded audio. I guess ROS is more broadcast focused, where embedded audio isn't as commonly used. It's true. That's been a very hard thing to breach with being a prosumer product and a company that does prosumer stuff. It's been really hard to talk to both camps, the broadcast piece and the actual, other base, because they each want their own thing. It's really annoying. I don't know where that bug came from. He's currently under a can of Mountain Dew that I'm going to try today on Snacks on Stream. Blackmagic is so much cheaper than ROS and has its place, but not nearly as robust as ROS. And that is very true. Though the only piece of Blackmagic gear I've ever seen actually stop working was a micro SDI to HDMI converter. Hey, John, from working with many organizations using the audio is, quote, okay. Interesting. Care to expand on that? Hopefully you did. I have a box of bidirectional converters and have run the Blackmagic ATEM 1 here for 8 years or so. Hey, Heartland, you're absolutely correct. Looking at changing to a Constellation for the conversion capabilities. Hey, John, I'm looking into installing 3 wall-mounted cameras on platforms so other cameras and smartphones can be used to the platform to record podcasts for our new Whisper Room. It's a soundproof enclosure. Pictures are here in this space. I currently have a P200 I could use, but I'm thinking about smaller cameras and the use in the confined space, something like a PF120. But then I lose the ability to pan and tilt during shows. And then there's that P110 120 or the X120, but with the X120 I would be doing HX. What are your thoughts? Personally, name that quote, name that show. Why is this camera not on here? All right, I need to fix that. So maybe that's why I had that 110. So this little guy right here is the P110. And I find that if you're running an HD installation and you want 10 times or like a quiet room or a whisper room or whatever, this camera would be great. Mostly because it gives you the zoom that you need. That camera right now is 7 feet from me, let's say, roughly 7 feet. And if I were to just open up Studio Monitor and give you a concept as to what it can do here. All right, so all the way out, this is all the way out at 7 feet, which is a pretty wide field of view for being that. Like, I could hit it. I could easily throw a ball of paper at it or something. It's super simple. But when we get zooming in on things here, like the zoom itself, so if this was positioned a fair ways back, you'd still have lots of lateral movement. And this is only a 10 times. And so, yeah, I think for, what it is pretty astonishingly good. And it's obviously the successor to the 100. And it's pretty much the same specs as the 100, other than the fact that it has all the updated screen, it has the updated tally. I'm going to go into the actual web UI of it here. And I want to just open up the exposure just to show you. So see this camera that's up here in the corner. And when I zoomed in on this guy, it got really dark, right? So we want to jump into the 110. And I'm going to go to exposure. And I'm going to open this up a fair bit. And keep going, I think. Keep going all the way. And then I might introduce a couple of decibels of gain just to make it kind of even out. So now, like, that's a great picture. I'm not doing a ton to it here. I've balanced it, right? White balance. But I'm not like just totally blowing this thing out. I'm at 10 sharpness, but go up to 15 if you want to see every pore on my face. Probably doesn't even need to be that high, but I like a little bit of detail. Noise reduction, it's at 3, which is average for most of our cameras. Yeah, I'm not really doing a ton here other than the coloration of the shot is high contrasty, but that's just to match the other cameras in this shot, right? So yeah, I mean, if you were doing a properly lit podcast studio or something like that, you should get away with the 110s or 120s. Especially if you're going to put the camera at 15 to 20 feet away, then do the 120. But if you're going to put the cameras on platforms on the walls and stuff that are 10 or less, then save a couple $100 and go with the 110. I mean, money may not be an object for you that you need to consider, but there you go. I mean, it's a great picture, and it has a fair bit of functionality for the fact in the price category that it's in. I'll put it that way. I think that it's definitely worth checking out. I don't have a launch date on the X120. I don't know what the plan is there, but then you're right. You are limited to HX, and you may miss the niceties of full NDI. So stuff to consider. I'm sure that there are other, like, can your network handle all of that data? But probably, knowing you, MTesh, that's probably not a concern. Yeah, it's very happy with all of the ATEM switchers I've used. A friend just bought one of the 1ME units. Is that the one that I'm thinking of that I've used? 1ME. One moment, please. Oh, that's just the little guy, right? Yeah. All right, this is driving me crazy. I need to know which unit it was that I was playing with. I was using the Blackmagic ATEM television studio, not the 4K version, just the HD version, which I don't know if they even still make anymore. Maybe. Do they still sell it? It looks like there may be like a new generation of the product out. But anyways, just the HD version, but it looks like, where is it? It looks like this guy. Let me share this with you. Present, share screen, Blackmagic. This guy. And I liked having the buttons, and actually I really like the feel of the buttons. They give a very satisfying like clunk, like push. You definitely know, and then the little light comes on, and it's great. So I like that. The thing is that with the Constellation, it turns it all software based, and then you'd have to sort out how to manage that a bit. But it's a nice little product. John, what you want is X keys and central control for the ATEM, for the Constellation. There's an iPad app that works fairly well. Hey, I heard about that. I stumbled across that the other day. That there was an iPad app and there was an app for Mac. It's called like Mix Control or something like that. So yeah, there's an option out there. I didn't know if anybody had used it. Let me know what you think of that. Whenever talking to organizations, I always recommend at least a 2ME. Agreed. I recently cut a grad on an ATEM 2ME using a little Korg, Korg Nano Control. It worked beautifully. Thank you, Joe to Max. Boom. 1ME for iMag, 1 for web feed. Interesting. Really? Would you trust the 2ME Constellation to do multiple screen outputs? Like multiple outputs, period? Just curious. I do use the 1ME for image and getting ready to upgrade to the 2ME for broadcast. Is it possible to find a full NDI PoE powered camcorder or studio camera? What do you mean, Heinrich? Is it possible to find a full NDI PoE powered? The only way to do that would be to find a camera that could function on less than 15 watts, that has a battery pack that would accept the Flex backpack. I don't know if there is one out there right now, but I doubt it. PoE can only provide so much power. It's true. Yeah, it's true. And to run a camera, you're going to need more than that. So, yeah, 1RU, about 2/3 the width. Thanks for the thoughts. Always, MTash, my pleasure, man. Thanks for coming by. You always have good things to say and think about. So, TV studios are definitely. Oh, Angus changed his picture. The TV studios are definitely compromise units. They give up a lot in the name of price. Constellation also has a control panel. Yes. It's just accessing. Well, I guess you could access it with the free software. Yep. Central control works really well with the ATEMs. Oh, fascinating. Absolutely 100% rock solid. On the show, I was trying to share a link a couple of weeks back. We were feeding 2 separate screen feeds plus the web stream with the Blackmagic 2ME switcher. MixFX is the iPad. MixFX, that's right. Thank you, Sean. It works very well with Blackmagic. Yeah, that photo was from 2006. I figured something more recent would be better, complete with stylish laser safety glasses. Fantastic. Cheers to your laser safety glasses. That's how they do out there in Edmonton. Good stuff. So yeah, I mean, I have been very curious about this Constellation. It seems to be let me put this back up here real quick. It seems to be an interesting idea. Somebody said that there was potential to do like more than 2 multi-viewer outs. Is that right? Where is the multi-viewer function? It's got to be in here somewhere. So like this, I mean, that is not an outrageous price for what it gives you. I mean, that's subjective, right? But like, definitely don't need a 4K. ATEM 1ME advanced panel. Yeah. But this guy, I wish I could click on this and like see more information, you know? Let's try and be sneaky here and just what happened there? Feedback hub? Get out of here. Multi-view. All features, no hidden costs. Unlike other switchers, all features are included with the purchase price. 5 minutes before purchase. Advanced features such as multi-view. That's all it says. Oh, there are 13 or 18 references. 2 multi-viewers. Oh, this one has 4. Interesting. So the big boss one has 4. Not that you would need. Anyways, there'd be no need for that. It's very interesting, everybody. Very interesting indeed. And I love this sort of stuff. I don't know what it is, but just I think for on a personal level, I think it's just like like being able to put all the pieces together to achieve something that's not been done before. And like the methodology of how this is all being done has obviously been done before, but the moment that you're capturing is unique, and that moment won't come again. You might hear the same speech again, or if you have 3 services on Sunday morning, you might hear the same sermon 3 times. But the moment that comes and goes and passes, it's that opportunity that you're affording others to participate in, which I just find such a I don't know, there's just something so that like drives me a little bit, which is part of the reason why it keeps me coming back to you guys, because yeah, if I was to just not do the show and to just focus on support, answering tickets, emails, processes and automations and all that stuff that we got going on, if I was just to do that, that would get pretty lonely. I mean, it'd be pretty isolating. And the fact that we can sit online, I can sit online and share an hour or 2 with you guys is, yeah, it's like one of those things that keeps motivating me forward. So yeah, thanks for coming along. I really appreciate that. I am going to wrap up here pretty soon, but I do want to jump into the chat again and make sure. 1 multi-viewer per mixing engine. Okay, good to know. So that's probably then 1 mixing engine inside the Constellation 1U, I would assume. Is this a video or is this oh no, it's just another page. Okay, so we can put this back up here so you guys can see. We're just navigating through the beautiful marketing of Blackmagic, which, fair enough. Innovated quiet thermal system. Wow, there's a lot of heat fans in there. Redundant international power supplies on the M4. ME4, I'm sorry, 4ME. So they show this on a laptop, but I find that you need a workstation. That's really what I think. Creative transitions, cut, mix, dip. Why doesn't it show them? These are photos. I don't like the spinning ones. This I don't mind if your logo is halfway decent, but if it's cheesy, it's kind of like How did I mute myself? Okay, so what was the last thing you heard? Thanks everybody. Somebody text that guy. Your lower thirds triggered a mic kill. Really? Did it really? I don't. It didn't this time. Why did it do it? Oh my gosh. Amateur hour. Let me think. You know what it was? It's because it's right next to my mute button. That's what it is. So that overlay one, geez, that thing is a dangerous button. Maybe I need to move that. I need to move that audio because I have a cough button on my Stream Deck that apparently is not working. See, that's the danger, is like sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't. Okay, so what I really like about this vMix lower thirds thing is that you can edit these title slides right away, like on, without much effort. So if you have a bunch of people that are walking up on stage, you can just put their name in there and it keeps the same formatting and everything the same, right? So yeah, it's handy to have this, especially because it just shows up as text files. And so then, we can, if you have a guest that's walking up on stage and, I'd like to bring up Bird Dog John as my guest, and you didn't know that was happening, then you can just you type it in real quick and bring it up. Now, the catch with this is having somebody, and I'm covering this up, aren't I? The catch with this is I got too many layers going on, is you have to have somebody who's fairly confident in the video portion of vMix and the title editing stuff. But I find this to be true with volunteers. So if you're running a gig on a reoccurring basis and your volunteers are not comfortable with the software that you're using, and in particular, things like ProPresenter. So ProPresenter has these crazy abilities to basically allow you to put live data up on screens very fast. And in particular, especially in the House of Worship realm, is to look up like scriptures really quickly, or to make announcements really quickly on the main slides, or to edit slides like lyric slides or whatever, that on the fly. The problem is that you really need to be confident in how all of that works and to know what buttons do what. And so that is that always seems to be the separation between being able to have what feels like a live show with the stuff that's on the screens, other than it just being like so well planned out. Every detail is so well planned out that it feels very packaged, like it feels very manufactured. So the guy goes up there and he says, I didn't plan to do this, but I want to. And whatever that next thing is, the people on the presentation, and including you in vMix or whatever, have the ability to change the information that's being displayed in real time. So there is that next level of confidence with whoever it is. Now, if it's just you and here, and as long as I don't mute my own stinking microphone here, and you know what, I have the things in place so that that's not an issue, and yet I didn't use it. I need to automate this piece, is what I need to, because I have an alarm that goes off. So the Zen NDI no audio meter, if the audio goes dead, or if I mute the microphone, for example, after about 3 or 4 seconds, it starts to beep in my ear and tell me that there's no audio. So it's my own stupid fault, is what I'm trying to get at here. And yeah, I should just learn to run the no audio meter at all times, and then that probably will never happen again. So my mistake, everybody. So if, though, you have people that are confident and well-trained, or not even well-trained, but just trained to do this sort of thing, as a single producer, I can edit those texts really quickly and feel pretty confident that, but again, spell check and all that stuff. But yeah, if your team is like really Johnny on the spot with it, then it could really make a big difference with the way that your production goes from feeling rehearsed to feeling alive. And I think that there is a separation there that people don't understand with streaming. They get so nervous that like, oh, I'm going to screw it up. It's like, it's okay. Actually, the fact that you screw up shows that it's not all manufactured. Like, one of the things I hate about watching videos about like product videos is that they feel disconnected because they're so well rehearsed. I hate that. Mostly because it makes the person who's watching feel like there's an intentional gap between you and the content. And I hate that. I don't like the way that I feel when I watch that. It feels very much so like I've rehearsed this line and now I'm going to say it and pretend like I'm talking to you. That you lose something. You lose a fair bit when something like that happens. And so I think there's value in the person watching, consuming whatever it is that you're producing. Whoever is consuming that information needs to feel as if they're along for the journey as well. And this is the audio stuff. We've had this problem in the past, and I corrected it by downloading that program. And then today I looked at the program and thought, oh, I need to get vMix up and running, and I didn't light it up, and I definitely should have. So I'll be kicking myself for that one all day long, that's for sure. Okay, I do want to run a little snacks on stream because Balu has graciously donated a Mountain Dew, and we'll get into that in just a second. We're going to taste test that, but of course, I want to run that bumper, so let's go there.
It's just making up stuff to start drama.
Look, I don't know.
Look at him.
Wish me luck, folks. It's my first Vegemite experience.
This is like cheese flavor or something. It doesn't really look too appetizing.
Good golly, this is something else, man.
Here's the thing about Pop Rocks, and I don't know if I'm the only one like this. Pop Rocks have always been a social experience for me.
I did not think that is what you were going to say. That's hilarious.
That is awful. Oh, God, that's so bad. Jeez. Holy smokes, man.
Yep. Time to have a little break in the action, and we'll try a little snacks on stream today. Now, there is some sort of creature underneath this Mountain Dew that Balu gave me because it fell from the ceiling, and I put the can on top of it mid-sentence when we were talking about the Constellation. So that's odd. Yeah, good stuff. So let's cut over to the ceiling mix, and maybe I should pull this up in Studio Monitor, and you'll be able to see what it is that I'm talking about. So, that 110 got way out of focus while we were chit-chatting. Okay, so here is, here's the desk. And I'm going to spin this camera around so you're going to be able to see it here in a second. Of course, it's upside down. And yeah, let's just go on over there. So this is that 110. Whoa. All right, so let's find out what creature this is. We could probably turn this up to full value so that you can watch this. I'll move my phone out of the road so that that's not in the shot. And how do you change it from low bandwidth, you ask? Well, we go to settings, we go to video, and we change low bandwidth on to off, and then we get all the detail in this P100. This is an old faithful P100. So here we go. Hopefully this thing doesn't fly at me. If it does, I'll kill it. So you heard it here first, folks. You heard it here first. All right, so let's see what we got. Some sort of like a pill bug or something like that. Let's see if we can focus in on it. There it is. Yeah, just fell from the ceiling, I'm not entirely sure. Maybe is it alive even? Who knows? But she's not huge. Yeah, she's moving. So I'm open to naming suggestions for our little pillbug friend. Not too sure exactly what it's doing here, but it dropped in during the show, and no need to end its life early. So we'll just we'll let it survive here. Now maybe I'll release it later on today, or I'll keep it captive because it almost fell in my coffee, and that would have been uncalled for, to say the least. So yeah, there we go. Good times. Little. Now we got some suggestions in. Yeah, so we need a central control to turn your lights bright red when there's no audio. That would be stinking cool. Yeah, we should definitely do that. Hey, you got it. Welcome back. Good old oopsie click. Let it go. Let it go. Please forgive yourself. Mistakes happen. Nobody will be thinking about it later. You don't need to punish yourself. So now you can eat it. Extra protein. It's a perfect snacks on stream. It's a bird bug. Love it. And for size comparison, today we're going to try Mountain Dew. Oh, for size comparison. All right. Sorry there, bug. Mountain Dew Passion Fruit Punch, brought to you by Balu, the office inspection agent. Whoa. Well, that is different. Okay, so you can definitely taste like the fruit punch. Like if you're used to that, like juice, you can definitely taste the fruit punch that is in there. But I think the passion fruit is the thing that tastes like medicine. I'm not too sure. Interesting. That's an interesting taste. And I should also mention here, today we've had some coffee, not brought to you today by Ember Mugs. Keep your coffee hot and your creamer curdled. We've had some coffee here on the show that is made by a coffee roaster that's local. I believe they're in Clawson, Michigan, and they go by the name Sabbath Roasters. Is it Sabbath? No, Sabbath Coffee. So let's jump in. Let's try and see some of their marketing. Let's go here to the Facebook page. No, I don't want to log in. So they are over on 14 Mile. And this is that Facebook page that I was referring to. So Bird Dog Jess, who isn't in the office today, but she, I guess, went over there and bought. I'm sorry, you guys can't see this. Oh, yes, you can. She went over there and bought this coffee from Sabbath Coffee Roasters, I guess. And so she brought it into the office, and we made it today for. Now, I'm not 100% sold on their marketing, and it's not particularly strong coffee. Now, there's some question as to like how the coffee was made this morning, but the guy that always makes the coffee made the coffee. So I think comparing it to the other coffee that we've had in the office, it should be on the same playing field. But oh, yikes! Where do you think you're going there, Buster? Nowhere fast, that's for sure. All right, so we're gonna put the drink over that guy. So I think it's a fair comparison between the traditional, which is, by the way, Tim Hortons coffee, because I'm Canadian. So yes, the traditional everyday coffee that we have here compared to this it's quite it's not strong. I got to put it that way. It's just not strong coffee. Now, yesterday, same agent, Jess, brought in a different brand of coffee that she got at some festival that was known as lavender coffee. And that was not coffee. That was basically lavender flavoring in hot water. And granted, to give her a little grace here, the coffee grounds itself smelt like coffee with this lavender scent, which, you know. But the brewed coffee was not coffee. It was basically tea, is what it was. So this is stronger coffee than that, but this is weaker coffee than what I'm used to. Now, perhaps I'm just a weirdo. Oh, not perhaps. I am a bit of a weirdo, but when it comes to coffee, I generally make stronger coffee, and I've been drinking a lot more like non-sweet coffee, so just half and half and coffee or straight black, which is what this is today. So whatever that means, but I definitely have gone a lot, stronger on my coffee than normal. But I got to run. Take it easy, Jeremy. We'll catch you in a few weeks. Safe travels. Yeah, you too. Now that you're in Michigan, when do you head back? Ember, as a very infrequent enjoyer of sweetened beverages, you are not selling me on that one. Have a good one, Jeremy. Hey, take care, Angus. Always a good time. Yeah, this one could be. This one's different. I feel like Snacks on Stream is a perfect time to try that. Oh, whoops, wrong camera. I feel like Snacks on Stream is the perfect time to try this drink because it. I wouldn't buy a case of it, but I would try it once and perhaps drink it again. Not necessarily drink it all the time. It would not be a frequent stocked in my fridge, but yeah, it's all right. It's not too bad. We have certainly tried worse things on this show, that's for sure. The X120 Europe release date? Do you have it? Do you know it? What is it? Tell me. I would love to know. There is no release date. We don't have an official one yet. It says Q3, and I know that the project is well towards completion at this point, but that's all I can say about that. So I don't have an official word as to what day it will launch. But yeah, there you go. That's all I can actually officially say. That it has not been announced to a capacity in which I can share with you when that time will be. So I too am under a non-disclosure agreement with my own company. Let's jump back to the heat map one last time. If you would like to join us over on the heat map, we have been showing this every week. We've been doing this, basically showing where our viewers are. And the way that you join us here is by scanning that little QR code at the top of the screen. And that will take you to a generic Google form that just says, hey, what country are you in? And what's the closest city? So if you fill those two things out and hit submit, your little dot would appear here on the screen, and we'll be able to see where you're at. So if you'd like to join us for that little trip, and it's always nice to kind of get a rounded idea as to where everybody is and to see, where people are checking in from. So always good stuff. But in the meantime, take care of yourselves. I definitely have a meeting at 1 that I have to go to, and so I need to wrap things up here. It is almost 12:30, but I hope you're having a great week. I hope things have started off for you on the right foot. It's been a while since I've had a Mountain Dew. But yeah, hopefully things have started off on the right foot for you, and that you're looking forward to a solid, productive week. Hopefully things are going well, and we will definitely be looking for you again on Thursday for our last regular scheduled show for a few weeks. Right here on the Bird Dog channel at birddogjohn.tv, where we just kind of check out anything. We kind of take a look at things that are around the industry. We talked briefly today about Constellation platform and how it is quite the step up from the 1ME platforms. And so my interest has been piqued to find out more. and I'll definitely be looking into that a little bit more as to workflow options, especially as I work with some folks that do some SDI world stuff, and so this might be a good place to learn more about that. But in the meantime, take care of yourselves. Be sure that you reach out to help@birddog.tv if you have any questions between now and Thursday. We'd be happy to give you a hand over there. And of course, right here on the Bird Dog John Support Show, every Tuesday, Thursday from 11 to at least 12 o'clock, usually beyond that. Be sure that you subscribe to birddogjohn.tv. That channel has been slowly, incrementally growing over the past month or two, which has been really fun to watch. We're almost at 300 subscribers, which is pretty much what we were at on Twitch 2 years ago before they kicked me off. So kicked me off and then put me back on and whatever. It was quite a rigmarole. So we no longer are exclusive to Twitch. We are exclusive to nobody. But YouTube is really where we hang out the most, and where I upload all of my content is right there at birddogjohn.tv. Feel free to join us over there every Tuesday, Thursday from 11 to 12. Take care of yourselves, folks. It is always a pleasure, Angus, to have you around with us on the show. So feel free to stop by anytime. One last look at the heat map. A lot of you guys are here in the U.S., one in Canada, and somebody over in Africa. So it's been a pleasure having you guys around. Thanks for being with us. Have a great rest of the day, and I look forward to seeing you guys again, hopefully on Thursday at 11 o'clock Eastern Time, right here in the U.S. Take care of yourselves, look after yourselves and each other, and we'll see you next time. Bye, guys.
Kid, you tried your best and you failed miserably. The lesson is never try.
Perhaps you think you're being treated unfairly?